Welcome to, as we continue into our message this morning. Do you believe what God says about you? That's what we're talking about. That's what the title of our topic this morning is. Do you believe what God says about you? I am that I am, and I believe that I am that I am. Yes, I do. You know, we have many, 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 many names and titles and labels and roles that people, others put on us. And we ourselves have masks, many, many masks that we wear according to whatever it is that we're doing. I put on my mama's mask and I'm a mama. I put on my neighbor's mask when I'm a neighbor. I wear the jean mask when I'm looking in the mirror at myself. And I wear the daughter mask. I wear the sister mask. I wear the cousin mask. I wear the friend's mask. I just have all those masks and I'm on and off with them. When I was an employee, I put on that worker's mask. And you know, attitudes go with those masks too. So, you know, we have roles and titles and labels and names that others give us and that we assume and take on ourselves. But what do they know? What do they know about us? You know, I mean, even mommies and daddies don't know everything about us. They don't know what we're thinking. You know, we're laying in that crib looking up at them and they don't know what we're thinking. They may think that, you know, they know it all, but you know, they don't. So everybody has a whole lot of things to say about us and tell us about ourselves. But again, what do they know? Who are they to know? You know, they can only know so much about you. In fact, you can only know so much about yourself, but there is one who knows us intimately, knows absolutely everything about us, knew us before we were thought about, before even our parents even met each other and brought us, you know, came together to bring us into this world. And that's God, that the great I am, the creator, you know, that the one that in whom we were created and made from. God knows us intimately because he created us. So of course he knows us. Like I said, like I reminded you earlier, he knows our flesh, he knows our physical bodies, he knows our emotional selves, he knows that attitude that we have. He can look right through and see our intentions, and he can see that life that is part of that God piece of himself, or you know, and I guess I kind of get caught up sometimes when I'm talking about God because I don't know how to refer to God as not a he or she or but it, but you know, that source, that power, that creator. You know, I'm not gonna give it a pronoun just to kind of, you know, keep it separate from everything and everybody else. But God is not God is not separate. You know, we have to refer to God as separate, but God is an encompass or a compilation of all things, good, bad, indifferent, you, me, them, they, us, or it's one. And that one is who knows us intimately. So when God speaks about us, it's not something that somebody told God or the neighbor said about God, or that you want to remind yourself about who you are to God. You know, we can tell ourselves, you know, I can remind my kids, you know, I'm mama, you know, I am mama. But God does not have to be told who we are. He knows about every one of the masks that we wear, every one of the titles and the roles that we play, that we move in and out of. God already knows about them, know about them before. So if you're going to believe anybody or anything in the world that is said about you, make sure, and there are some of the songs that make very, very sure that you are believing what God says. First and foremost, above all, anything that I might sit here and tell you how great you are and what kind of friend you are, what kind of daughter you are, and what kind of team member you are, all of those things are just, you know, opinions, in my opinion, and for the least of it, or even the greatest of it, it's my opinion. God doesn't have an opinion about you. God has a knowing about us. So when God speaks over us and to us and about us, you can take it to the bank and you can believe it We're quick to believe what somebody else tells us. Oh, you're just acting jealous. You're jealous. You're just a prideful person. You're my friend. You're friendly. They can put all kind of titles and names on us, but again, they're just opinions. But when God tells you that you are chosen, you're chosen. When God tells you that you are my lovely one, you are the loveliest one. When God tells you that you are the head and not the tail, you are the head, and the tail ain't nowhere to be found in you. When God tells you you can do, you can do it. Now, I might believe, like, okay, I can do this and I can do that. But when God says you can do all things, then you can believe that too. We tend to pick and choose the things that we want to believe about each other and ourselves. But I'm here today, just like Jesus was trying to get his disciples to understand that long years ago and back in the day when he was walking around and whatever. I'm here to tell you that everything that God says about you and me is the absolute truth. I don't care how dirty or soiled or what I'm doing. I'm hanging from a tree and I know I'm not supposed to. I may be doing stuff that I'm not supposed to be doing or I shouldn't be doing or that's not written about you, that's not said about you. We're always doing stuff and being something that we were never said that it was never said that we were. God said we're not, he hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but we take on fear. We take on fear like it's a covering that we need to protect us from something. God said, I'm all you need. I cover you. I got, you got my love to cover you. You got the power, you got the wisdom that I gave you. And we can turn away from it and we can not accept it and not believe it. And that's what Jesus was really trying to help his disciples understand. Unless you believe that I am, then you're gonna die in sin. And sin basically is error. Don't let anybody tell you it makes you stink or whatever, or it make you go to hell or whatever. And it's not that kind of sin is basically an error. So if you don't believe that you can do all things, you don't believe that you're the head and not the tail, if you don't believe that you have been given the power of love and that you're chosen, if you don't believe that, then you're in error. You're in error. Your belief is wrong. So Jesus reminded us that unless you believe that I am, and again, that's what God says. God's name is not about fear. God's name is not about shame. God's name is not about feeling low self-esteem or feeling without or feeling hungry or illness, sickness. No, God's name is power and love and wholeness and wellness. And when God says, I am, whatever he says, that is who God is. God would never tell you that I'm a fearful God or I'm a God of low self-esteem. And you're created in the image of that mighty I am. So you are the same name. So whatever God says about I am, you can wear it with strength. You can wear it with power and wisdom and might, because that is your power. That is your power. That is the covering. So this morning, what I want us to do is I want us to really think about the things that we say after I am. And I want you to make sure that you are saying what God says. Now, I know, what does God say? How do I know what God says? Well, first of all, I will say that whatever, usually in the scriptures and in the Holy Bible, if you take some time and you go through and see what God says about you. God said that the Holy Scriptures, the Bible itself is full of things that God has said about us. Full of it. And basically, truth be told, the story that everything in that Bible is about you and me. It's about us. It's about who we are, what we are, whose we are, what we're able to do, what we're capable of being. That's a book full of that. And I venture to say I don't know all the different scriptures of all the different faiths and beliefs, but I would believe that all sacred word, all sacred scriptures are filled with information about who you are. It's a story about us, about we, the I am, that part of us. And that part of us that God speaks about us is who we truly are. And who, again, you can take to the bank and you can believe it. So I guess, the first question I want to, throw out and have you contemplate is, do you know? Do you know, can you just rattle off some of the things that you know that God has said about you? Do you know what they are? Yeah. I think that Donald Lawrence was telling you in his song, some of the things that God has said about you. He said that you're sons and daughters. And we know that we look at God as the King of Kings, the Almighty, the all-powerful. Then you're the sons and daughters of God. We are the sons and daughters of God. We are his children. And think about it in the fleshly sense or in the earthly sense. We inherit from our parents, our earthly parents, when they're gone on, and we inherit their earthly belongings, we inherit their DNA, their attributes that they have. We inherit those things. And just like we inherit those things from our physical earthly parents, we have an inheritance from our heavenly, our godly, our King of Kings, the creator parent, the source parent. We have things. And unlike the things that we inherit from our parents, earthly parents, unlike those things which will die with us, will die with them, we'll use them up, they can leave us a fortune. I know people that were left fortunes by their parents and their families, and they, a few years later, they're all gone. But unlike the things that our earthly parents leave us and say about us and do, God's gifts and God's inheritance never, ever runs out. You never run out of the love. You will never, ever be unchosen. You will never, ever be the tail and not the head. You will never, ever be fearful. You'll never, ever be a fearful spirit. You might be a fearful person, body, physical person, but the more you recognize and you honor who God says you are, the more you are, whatever it is that God, and stronger in it. And you can stand flat-footed in it. If God said it about you, that's who you want to believe. Don't believe me. What do I know? It's an opinion. I read it somewhere, or I saw how you were acting, and I kind of came to that conclusion, or somebody told me this about you. But I know what God says about me. And I know that what God says about me, it's the same for you. It's the same for all of us. Because there's a part of us, that God part of us is in each one of us. I don't care how evil acting we get to be, or the crazy, awful things that man is known to do to themselves and each other. Doesn't matter. There's still inside of that person a piece of God that maybe they've ignored. Maybe they don't believe. Maybe they've not listened to it. Maybe nobody sat down with them like Jesus with his disciples to help them understand that when you say, I am my brother, my daughter, my friend, when you say I am, you're using the authorized name of God. That's what God said. Who said, who am I supposed to tell sent you? Moses was saying in his stutter, I got to tell Pharaoh something. What do I say? God said, tell him I am sent you. Okay, what kind of name is that? That's the name that God gave you. That's the name that God is. So when we speak of ourselves, of that life, that eternal life in us, we're talking about I am, talking about God, we're talking about the King. When I talk about the flesh and the blood. I'm talking about the gene. And that's what Jesus said. He said, you know, gene is from this world. I was born of this world. I was born from physical parents in this world, on this earth. But there's a part of me that was not born on this earth. It didn't come from here. It came from up above. It came from beyond this place. So there is a difference. I remember when I was used to be a teacher, and I was working with some preschool. In fact, I was working in a preschool, and I was working with this little girl, and she would always say to me, well, she would always talk, when she talked to me, she would always say, her name was Molly, and she would say, Molly wants to go to potty, or Molly wants a snack, or Molly wants her mommy. And I always thought it was really cute, but as I started really realizing that there is a gene, and then there is an I am. And I don't want to get it confused. So I want to understand it. I want to know it. I want to meditate on that at least a few times a day so I can recognize that I'm not just this body. God says that I am more than this body. God says that if I don't believe that I'm more than this body, I'm in error. And if I don't come alive and wake up and recognize that I am, I might die in error. We have too much to do, too much to possess and to own and to accomplish in this life. In this body, whatever, how many ever years that we have it to express here in this earth. We only have a certain amount of time to express it, because these bodies are going to wear out long before the life in me is going to wear out. That like God in me is going to wear out, but this body is going to wear out. So I want to wake up, and I want to recognize what God says and speaks to me, about me, talk about me. And I want to believe and trust what God says about me enough that I can make use of these 80, 90, 100 years, I don't know how long, however many years that I'm endowed to be here. I want to be able to express that from this meager, time limited flesh and blood body. That's what we're here. We're here to do that. We're here to come alive and wake up and honor the spirit man in us, the God piece in us. So if you do not know, if you haven't taken the time, and I'm suggesting that you do this, sit down sometime and just go in and see what God says about who you are. It's in the Bible. It's in the sacred scriptures. It's filled with information about who you really are and what you can really do, what you can really have. It's all spelled out in there. The Old Testament, and then here comes the New Testament, and Jesus and demonstrator himself, I call Jesus the great demonstrator, because Jesus showed us exactly. Just follow Jesus, follow those tracks of Jesus, follow the footsteps of what Jesus did and what and be like that. Assume that. Yeah, you can raise the dead. Yeah, because we are dead if we don't recognize who we are. So yeah, raise the dead self in you so that you can wake up and recognize who you are, what you are, and whose you are. I want to open it up a little bit. I just want to, give you a chance. I want to stop here and just kind of give you an opportunity. If you have any comments or questions or stories or illustrations or demonstrations that you want to share, I'm all ears, because I know I'm not the only one that want to know myself. I am known by God himself. I want to know everything there is to know about me. And I want to be able to separate those things that are told of me that don't quite line up and align with what God says about me. I want to understand that so that I can believe right. I don't want to die in sin or die in error. Yeah, I'm not going to scratch my head and wonder what God meant, because Jesus knew when he said that, because I understand it now. I understand it now. I am physically from this world, but there's a part of me that's not, that was not from this world, that didn't start from this world. I came into this world through this flesh, and I'm able to demonstrate really and truly who I am. Not with the limits, of course, because we know that this body can't, can't come and go as it pleases, and like the spirit man can, but we still know that we are endowed with some super, 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 super abilities and superpowers. So I'm going to open it up. Anybody have anything they want to share about their experiences or how they feel about who they are? How do you feel? I mean, it's a good one. How do you feel when you listen to people tell you who you are and you know that they're wrong about you? How does that make you feel? What does it make you want to do? Anybody? Here's another question. Here's something else to think about. I want you to think about these. How do you get confirmation as you communicate with Source, with your creator? You don't have to share this with me, because I know a lot of this is personal kind of stuff anyway. But how do you communicate? How does God assure you or make you come to understand and to recognize and see who you truly are? How do you feel sometimes or what are you thinking at those times when you feel trapped? I see some hands up. Okay, all right.
Hey,
Yes,
can you hear me?
yes, I can.
Okay, I just wanted to tap in and say, how you were saying about it's good to remember who you are. And I have to sometimes, I want to just add to remind ourselves that we need to remind ourselves who other people are in other situations are. This too is God, even the situations we don't like, situations we don't want to deal with, the things that frustrate us, all the things in this world, we have to remind ourselves that this too is God. This too is God. And I just wanted to add that in.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad you pointed that out, because like I said earlier, to God, we're all favorites. But we as human beings in the flesh and blood, me, I can say, there's something about that person I don't like. There's something about that person, the way they act and the thing they say, and I just don't like them. I don't like that. But if I was looking at them as through the eyes of the spirit man, through God, then I could be like God too, because God is able to look right through the flesh, into the soul, into the heart, into the spirit, and know who that person truly is. The same exact spirit that resides in me, that gives me life and gives me motivation, that is God's peace. That same peace resides in someone else, just like Jay said. To honor yourself, that's a scripture. There's a word that tells us, do unto others as you would have them do to you. Know others as you are known to yourself. So I look at it this way: when I disrespect another person, then basically that same disrespect is mine, because the same again, the same, like Jerry said, the same life that's in me is in in that person that I'm disrespecting or whatever. So, because we're all that life is one life. It's one identical life that only God himself can tell apart. You can look at me and tell that piece of me that's Jean, or that's uniquely mine. And I don't know what name he gives me, but my mom and dad is family, he'll call me Jean. So God knows us as individuals. So we should understand that we can see we have the same powers. God didn't withhold any of his powers from us. Everything that God is able to do, if we continue to strive to be all that we are supposed, that we are in God's sight, then we have that same exact power. So we can see right through to that person. So yeah, we have no place, no right as a spirit man to judge another, because it's the same life. We share the same life. Anybody else have anything they want to share? I'm going to leave you with reminding you that we are created. We're created and made in the image of the King, of God, of the great I am. And because we don't have, God doesn't have pick and choose and favor any of us over in any of us, then we want to get to the place in our lives and continue on understanding and remembering and demonstrating who we truly are. Then we'll get to that place where we can see right through to the intentions and the hearts and the souls and of the other. And we'll be able to recognize that there's, like, who is that? Bob Marley says, one love. There's one love. There's one love. There's one life. And there's only one existence or being that knows us intimately, knows us inside and out. And I'm going to encourage you to get hold of, just take some time, sit down with the Bible, sit down with the Holy Scriptures. Again, whatever religion you are, whatever, you've got a holy book. Sit down with that book and go through it for yourself. I go through it for me. What it means, and I can share it with you because, I know that, again, God's words, God's wisdom, God's power wasn't just meant for me. It didn't have, I can go through it. I don't find the name Jean in there, but I do find the name I am throughout the Bible. I see I am. I see I. That's talking about who we are individually. So search it for yourself. Pick out those times, and times of meditation is the perfect time to just allow the Spirit to reveal to you, the man, the Jean, the girls, the boys, who you truly are. And I promise you, you will be totally, totally amazed. So again, I encourage you to search the scriptures for what God says about you. You know what I say about you. I try to be encouraging, and I try to remind you of who you are. But, I'm like, kind of like distance myself sometimes, like, whoa, I didn't, I don't know about that. But God knows, and God won't ever turn away from you. God won't ever, ever turn away from you. God won't just, what is it? They say, just sometimes you have to detach and all that, they tell us to do that. But God don't have to do that. God can stay right with you. Even when you disregard or overlook or not pay attention or not acknowledge his presence, it's there. Remind yourself, the Jean, the Corone, the Rome, the Larrys, the Jay. Remind Jay, remind Jean, remind Rome, remind Corone who you really are. And say, I know I'm bad and all that, but I'm the best as I am. I am the best as I am, and that is I am. I'm going to leave it there, but I'm going to ask you to ask yourself constantly, who do I believe? Who do I believe? Who knows me better? Who knows me best? Yeah, I appreciate what people say. Give me high fives and pat me on the back. Sometimes I appreciate them pointing out to me that I'm, not so good. It makes me sit back and reflect and say, oh, okay, they're judging, by the flesh, but I know there's a spirit man in me that can do a whole lot better and is a whole lot better and is indestructible and is of highest esteem and is the true daughter of the king. The flesh can walk and come and go as it feels like. But there's only one feeling and one thought for the spirit man, and that is to recognize that I am that I am. Jesus was trying to convey that to those little brothers, and they were trying to figure out, what do you mean? I am, what are you talking about? Talking about himself? Yeah, himself and you too. So embrace the I am in you. Recognize the I am in you and allow the I am in you to speak to the gene in you and that other physical part of you. That's the demonstration. That's the true demonstration of that spirit man, is to overcome the flesh man, to show that you're not of this world because it's going to decay. That part of me that's going to live on and on forever. Let me figure out how to let that shine in this world, in this dark, crazy, stressful world. I don't think the spirit gets too stressed. Kind of looks at us like, oh, okay, that's a piece of cake. That's all I have for you today. I appreciate you guys being with me, and I do hope that you find out absolutely as much as you can about who God says you are and what you are and whose you are. And I hope, my hope is that you believe it, enough to test it out. Who's that? I think Neville reminds us, don't believe me? Yeah, search it for yourself. You don't believe what I'm saying? You don't believe what I'm sharing with you? Prove it for yourself. Prove that you're the chosen one. Prove that you're the loved. You're the beloved. Prove that you are the head and the tail. Prove that you are, coming. You're here and you're now and you're big and bad and you are strong and courageous. Do that. That is all I have for you this morning. And again, I appreciate you guys being with me. And give me a shout out if there's anything that I can share with you or help you understand or go back over with you. But do, check us out on YouTube. You can hear the message again if you want to sometime during the weekend. And again, if you hear something that moves you, trust me, if somebody else would have a need to be moved as well. So share the link, share the comments, share our channel with others. And hopefully I'll see you next Sunday. I think I'm gonna play a little bit more of let's see, I think I want to share this song with you as we're going out. And it's a song by a young lady. Her name is Sanash. And she says, what does she say? She says, I know who I am. And I want to share that with you going out.